All right, welcome, wrestling fans. We are here getting ready for the 2K18 season to kick in just about 3 weeks away as the days tick down. We here at the Nation Network value your views, your opinions, and what you want to see. And we are narrowing things down as we speak. There is a battle royal taking place of sorts between several different promotions, and let's discuss what some of them are as we go through the backstage of the system we've been running in our universe mode. So let's take a look at what that entails. Currently, to date, we have been running the ECW. As we jump into the slot 2 saves, take a look at what we've had over here. We go to the calendar, and you can see we did the UK for a short period of time. We just introduced Glow the past week. We did ECW, and I can tell you right now, ECW is not being renewed for next season. We apologize to those of you who like your wrestling extreme, but for a number of reasons, we will not be able to bring ECW back next season. We will also not bring in the United Kingdom wrestling back anytime soon either. Of course, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown will all not be shown on the Nation Network. Glow is still currently in the Battle Royal, but the ECW is the first team eliminated from contention for the next season. As we take a look now at the first slot right here, we'll jump in. These are the organizations that are still alive, but not by much in some cases. AWA doing very well. They are progressing, and they are still in this battle royal as we enter the last 3 weeks of the season. AWA is faring very well up to this point in time. To our surprise, WCW not as strong in the numbers as we had suspected, and they're in danger of not making the cut. And then finally, we take you to slot 3. Which is by far the most successful branding that we've had, which includes World Class. It includes Championship Wrestling from Florida and the old NWA. We also have LWF, the Legends of Wrestling, and Fantasy Warfare. Now, here's what we can tell you. Without a doubt, all of these are still in this battle royal to see which of these shows is going to make it to 2K18 season. They are all the strongest rated here on the Nation Network, and you, the fans, are making it tough for us to decide. But more news is going to come up on the programming and our plans for the 2K18 season as we get closer to launch day. Speaking of launch day, on the 14th of October, starting at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing a live stream that is going to last for many hours. Featuring 2K18, we invite all of you. It'll be another open forum, much like this one, and we invite all of you to join us for that. Now, one of the other things that we're going to be doing that we don't always do, and actually quite rarely do, and that is using the photo mode for Superstar Creations. Now, I've been a long fan believing that the creations tend to look a little bit better for the most part. Now, some of the creators out there have done a tremendous job using the photo tool, but then others have that same problem over and over again, which is that the light sections tend to really just show up poorly when you put the picture down over the created wrestler. And we've generally always just gone old school with our style and just built it from the parts available to us. So we're going to try some experimentations right now. And we're going to edit a couple of existing wrestlers on our roster and just see how some of the work that we've been working on recently is going to pan out here. One of the first ones I'm going to give a shot to here is Barry Windham. Now, I think Barry looks pretty good there, and that's without the photo capture. But one of the big differences that this game really doesn't provide that previous games did is Barry Windham has a very distinct nose. The Mulligan family kind of has that nose, and you can't really capture it with the standard pieces here without using some sort of photo. So I've got one. It wasn't the greatest one. We're going to give it a shot just to see if it makes a difference or not, and if so, how good a difference. And we're just going to pass on this one. We got a couple others we're going to try out. That is definitely not going to work, though. So, again, the hope is that the new Creation Suite, which does look like it's going to be much better, the hope is going to be that they're going to give us better selections of body parts, including things like eyebrows, different styles of noses, or more creations or creative ability with the noses to mold. Right now, everything is so basic, it's really taken many steps backwards from previous titles. All right, one of the next ones we're going to try out here is going to be, if we can get it to load up, there we go. Tito Santana. Now, we did put a facial scan on the one that we're currently looking at here, but it wasn't a very good one. I've got one that's better. We're going to try that and see how that works. From a distance, this doesn't look too bad, but again, here is the part that we're talking about. Where you have those flares from the camera, that part there just always outshines the rest of the image, and it just looks obvious. So using some Photoshop trickery, you take the good side of the face and just double it over. And that's what we're going to be doing here. That's what I've done with this second photograph that I'm going to use this time around. We took the half that had good lighting on it and just cut it down the middle. So here was the original photograph that we used, and that's what we're looking at now. But this is the one we're going to go with. And that's a pretty clean try and line that up a little bit. Unfortunately, it's got the teeth. Can't help it. Tito Santana likes to smile a lot. What can I say? Let's go back here and see if we can do a little better job of lining that up. One of the things they did do right was allowing you to see the skin color as you're scrolling it across. You can get a better feel that way for it. Again, if you've seen the Creation Suite videos that have already been released, this year you're going to have ethnicity predetermined where you can skip ahead and save a lot of steps in the building process. There are things to look forward to, but I'll be honest with you, I feel like we all got swerved on this one, and I'll have to see it to believe it before I'm going to buy into it.
He's just a common man, working hard for the man. Hey, he's a
All right, we're going to start right here with what we've got. Now, the fact that the face still has that bright section there, we can take care of that pretty easily here, and I'll show you what I do with these moments.
That's all right. Blue eyes with a lot of soul. Common man has got his gold. Hey, he's a
times I will use photographic material to refer to. This one right now, I'm just going based on my knowledge.
This ain't no home sweet home. It's only sweet misery. We knew when we got here. They tried to put us away. But when they see us walk down the street, they ran the other way. Back free, let us be air. Back free in the whole USA. Back free, nasty and hot. The good guy got you in the better it got.
All right, we're just going to move along. Just keep it basic at the moment. Actually, because of the hairstyle, we're going to actually go a little bit bigger on that. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. How's it going? Got One King Entertainment here in the house. Tell me, what are you looking forward to about 2K18? Are you pre-ordering the game, or are you one of the people that are going to wait and see if the hype is real? Senior Frog, hello, my friend. We want to know what you guys are thinking about 2K18. Now is the time. Frog looking at his own indie show. So it's going to be original content. I know a lot of people, myself included, very much looking forward to the small buildings that are going to be available out there, the gymnasium, the high school gym, and things of that nature. It does have a lot of potential there, I'm not going to lie, and I'm looking forward to it myself. Hello, Aaron. Thank you for joining us. Now, when you say you're going to set up your own indie show, are you talking about original characters as well, or will it be names that people would recognize? One King already pre-ordered. And it does look good, you're right. I worry so much based on history of this company. They can make everything look good in the ads, and then when you get your hands on it, well, it's not quite the way it turns out. All right, well, good luck with that. Look forward to seeing what you put out. See, like this right here, we talked about a moment ago, the nose tip. With Barry Windham and Blackjack Mulligan, they both have a very interesting, tip to their nose, very defined, and it's one of the things that makes or breaks a good-looking, created wrestler, and you just don't get the opportunity to do it with this one, whereas you could do it with older games, going back to THQ. And anyone who's been a long-time supporter of this channel, you know that I'm no lover of THQ, but I do think they did a better job. Oh, you're going to go with some House of Honor. I like that. So the creative juices are flowing throughout the community. I'm wrong. That's the truth of the matter. I really do. I've been down this road with these guys before, and it's kind of like, the old saying, you burn your hand on the stove once, you don't touch the stove again to see if it's still hot. Lucas Hackett is in the house. I've got to be honest, I saw the video that shows all of the new moves, and it was like 25 minutes long. I gave it about 8 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see all these moves when it's my turn. I'll wait. Now, I'll be honest with you, I saw some of the glow effects. It's not that it looks bad, and there's a whole bunch of potential on what you can do there. It won't benefit me very much, because I try to keep what I do as accurate to its time as I can, and there was no glowing in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah, a lot of people were stunned, I think might be the right word. Kind of the way I felt when I found out that to change hair and things like that, you had to go into attire settings. All right, so I'm going to go in here and change out some of the stuff that I had already worked on in the past. I am still waiting to hear the DLC like everyone is. I will guarantee you right now, I will bet my house, my dogs, my cars, and my motorcycle that the Hardy Boys will be in the DLC. It'll probably be the very last one that comes out, which won't be till near Thanksgiving, or I take it back, what is that? No, the last one comes out somewhere near either January or February, isn't it? Yeah, so it's going to probably be in literally 18 before we see them, but I really, really would guarantee they're going to be there. Yeah, Hammerstein Ballroom. How you doing, Tim, by the way? It looks great. I've seen it, and it looks phenomenal. What was the other one they showed that kind of tipped their hat that there's going to be something going on? There's another very unique one. Besides the gymnasiums, there was Hammerstein and one other one, and I can't quite off the top of my head recall. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I feel bad that I'm kind of throwing in the towel on the ECW this season because of these opportunities that are coming up. But I've got to limit my roster a little bit better so that I can make a more full roster to represent the organizations I'm going with. And a lot of fans, myself included, enjoyed having the jobbers in there this season. It really brought it back when you have some squash matches in there. All right, so I'm going to get rid of all this stuff in here. And instead, I'm just going to take this right here. Well, that's working out pretty well. And then we'll just bring the opacity down a bit. That's going to help take a lot of that glare off. Make it look a little bit more tolerable. I've got to be honest, I'm just not well versed on ROH wrestling. I did watch it for a short stint about 9 years ago. I liked it. About the time Kevin Steen took the title is when I lost interest in it. I've never been a fan of his. No, the ECW One Night Stand Arena is in. That's the Hammerstein Ballroom, and yes, it is going to be in the game. Thank you very much, One King. I appreciate that. And that really is where my passion resides. I'm a big fan of the old school wrestling days, of the WWE especially, because I grew up in the New York area, so I'm very familiar with the whole Madison Square Garden scene and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to try one more. Still not really happy with this section over here. Let's see how this ends up looking. Yeah, that works better. So again, there are ways to take that glare away a little bit anyway, and this is just one of those tricks that I kind of rely on. And let's see, where's the lipstick? There we go. know. The Hammerstein, to me, and the Grand Ballroom are pretty much the same. I don't really see a big difference in them. I think you could easily make a really, really good early Raw arena out of that. Yeah, the highlight video thing does look really cool, and I'm looking forward to trying that. The free roam camera is going to be a great asset, and I think you can make some really great intro videos. But again, for me, it doesn't help much because the time period I'm dealing with, there really weren't a lot of entrance videos being used. Oh, don't get me started. Forget Brian Pillman. I mean, I'd like to have had him back in the game, but I'd be honest, I really haven't used him very much in the last 2 seasons. How in the world do they not have Arn Anderson in the lineup? Somebody explain that to me, because I just cannot believe it. I mean, he's still with the company, right? I mean, you've got Brie Bella, who's retired, but you don't have Arn Anderson. Lucas, I'm going to tell you right now, buddy, I've got to tell you, I am so surprised. I thought that when I brought WCW back last month, and I haven't done anything with WCW in a very long time on our channel, I was expecting a lot more in the way of ratings, and it's not there. It really isn't. I've given them a pretty good chance, and we're not done with it yet for this season. We still got Clash of the Champions coming up. There's actually going to be a dual Clash of the Champions, one for WCW and one for NWA Old School. But as of right now, WCW is on the ropes in this battle royal that we've got going on for the companies that are going to be featured next season. And again, I've got to limit that number simply because there's only so many hours in the day. And even you guys who have been really cool in supporting the channel all these years, I know you're only going to want to watch so much of this stuff. We all have other lives and things going on, so I want to bring it down to what is most looked towards by the fans, the thing that you guys most want to see, that you're most watching, getting into. I like it all. That's why I'm broadcasting it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have it up here. I can tell you right now who the strongest contenders are, and one of them, talk about a dark horse. I didn't expect half of what I've gotten out of it so far, and it has sustained, and that's the part that surprised me. Anytime I roll out a new promotion that I haven't done before or haven't done in a long time, it always gets pretty good ratings in week 1, and then you wait for week 2, week 3, and week 4 to see how things play up. Most of them tend to dip a little bit, and it's just like real television when you look at ratings this way. You keep an eye on your numbers, and that's tradition. A lot of times a new program will get a big audience in, and then over the coming weeks after that, some people will stay with it, other people drop off. The AWA has been very consistent, and I am surprised. I'm happily surprised, but I'm surprised. I've really got to get that glow off the nose. It's driving me absolutely crazy. So I would say right now the AWA is doing a really good job at making an argument that they need to be back for next season. And again, that's all because of you. We had a viewer that week after week kept saying, hey, you got to do some AWA stuff. And even though it was only one person saying it, we took advantage of that. We listened to it, decided we'll give it a shot and see what happens. And it's turned out really well. I've got to tell you, I'm really liking the way Santana's turning out here. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Better than it was. That's what I'll go with. I've also thought about the old school women wrestlers. We'll have to see how many slots. Now, I haven't heard. Maybe one of you guys knows. How many slots are they giving us for created wrestlers? I'm assuming it's going to be at least 100 that we've had in the past. I'm actually trying to put together a roster right now based on the promotions that I think I'm going to be going with. We still have a few weeks of shows to put out there and see how the ratings do and see where the fans' interest is. But based on what I've seen over the last 2 to 3 weeks now and moving forward, I'm starting to put names down on paper as to guys and girls perhaps that we might want to be bringing into this. The whole thing with Glow, I really didn't know how that was going to go, and it's done well. I mean, I personally really got into Fierce last year. I liked it a lot, and I'm a big supporter of this whole women's movement. I've stopped watching today's product entirely as of the last month and a half, 2 months now, because it's just horrible. It's absolutely terrible, and I can't do it anymore. I was to the point where I would record Raw and SmackDown, and when I'd watch them back, it was on fast forward. The only thing I would stop and watch were the women's matches, because I couldn't care less about the men's matches. They were terrible. Not the athletes, not the wrestling, but the build-up, the stories, I did not care about it. Whereas the women really came across much better. So I would like to do something, again, even if it's part-time. Like Glow will probably only have a very limited run next season, but I think there's going to be room, I hope there's going to be room to do at least a couple of characters like Sherry Martel on the roster, perhaps Moolah, perhaps Mae Young. I would like to see that happen. I can all but guarantee you we will see something with Glow next season, even if it's just the ones that are included in the game. But it won't be a lot. I just, the numbers don't bear out, and even Fierce didn't come all the way through the way I kind of hoped it would. And that's just the way this thing goes sometimes. Again, like wrestling, we have to go with what the fans want, and the fans weren't into that as much. Well, you know what? It's funny you say that, Tim, because I haven't seen Sid or Arn lately, so could happen. Yeah, and this was long before they were a team. All right, so we're going to copy this over here. And then we'll get rid of the ring entrance stuff. And here's something else I would love, and I just don't hold my breath waiting for it. If they're not going to give us more legends, well, Tim, if I do the WWF show, it's going to be the LWF, essentially, because the Legends Wrestling Federation is pretty much based on the WWF back in the 80s, with a little bit more leeway where I can bring any legends in that I want. But generally, I that's where you have your MSG, your Philadelphia shows, things like that, the Spectrum. So the LWF will definitely be back in some capacity. I don't think it's going to be featured as prominently as it was this past season, because, again, right now, I'll give you guys, I mean, it's not decided, but as I'm looking at right now what I've got, AWA and WCCW are killing it week in and week out. So I've got to look strongly at those two. Now, if I'm doing those two in a full-time rotation, it doesn't leave me much time, and that's where I've got to kind of edge in a little bit of this and that. Beast TV, can you make me? Well, I don't know you, but if you look like Tito Santana, then I think I got you down. Now I don't even know where am I at. I lost my place. All right. We're going to edit the attire. We're going to go to clothing and upper body, and we're going to get rid of the jacket. Tim, I would love to. Again, that's kind of right in my wheelhouse. Some of my favorite wrestling. As you can, right now you're looking at one of my two favorite wrestlers of all time. Tito Santana, Barry Windham, that's it. Beyond that, everybody else does really well in trying, but these are, in my book, the two greatest of all time. Would love to have seen a match between the two of them. But I really think those two guys were just the best at what they do. losing a turkey hunt? What the heck? All right, I've got to tell you, I didn't watch any AWA until it was on ESPN. Because, again, we only had WWF wrestling available to us back then. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have all these cable channels. That was just starting to come in. So, yeah, turkey hunt, I have... Was that an actual turkey hunt, or did they turn a turkey loose in the ring? Because that sounds like something they would have done in their later days, right before they went bankrupt, for having that stupid team competition, which was god-awful. And while I've heard of Jake the Milkman Milliman, I've got to be honest, I've never seen a match of his. A turkey on a pole match. So you're telling me, way back then, Vince Russo was booking for the AWA? Is that where he got his start? Beast, how would I download you exactly? The ruthless aggression thing, I don't know. I really, again, at the end of the day, the numbers kind of play out themselves and determine how things are going to go. And right now, I've got to say that what I'm leaning heavily towards, it's not decided, but what I'm leaning heavily towards is going to be AWA WCCW. And after that, I'm going to have to make more decisions. If I was going to bring Vince Russo in any way, shape, or form, he would be getting his ass kicked. I would probably book him against Goldberg. I would find a way to book him against Goldberg. That would be my match. And then have Goldberg just destroy him. Lucas, do you have any video of that? Because I wouldn't mind watching that. Well, Beast, here's my problem right now. I've got no slots available to work with. Everything is completely filled up. That's kind of what I'm talking about here, in that next season, as much as I would love to have this roster full of different talent, they only give you 100 slots, which sounds like a lot until you start filling them with names. And then once you start adding some of the jobbers, it really just kicks into high gear, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, your slots are all gone. So that would be my problem with doing anything right now. Now, maybe next season, early on, before I fill them up, I could do something quickly and upload it, and then you can get it. But right this minute, I can't until 2K18 comes out. JBL, let me tell you how happy I am that he is gone from the game. You know, somebody was joking, Tim, about the possibility of Cornette being a DLC with the Rock and Roll Express. I don't see it happening because Vince really doesn't seem to like him very much. But Man, I would love at least one run with the actual cornet with a tennis racket that you could use. That would be tremendous. Gotta tell you, I'm really liking Tito. He's coming out pretty good here. Take that out. All this work, and he's probably only got maybe 2 more matches left in him this season, but that's all right. Do a little bit more tweaking here real quick, and we're going to go here. Nope. Bring that down. There's a lot of truth to that. Those alternate costumes, I didn't get to use much. It's like just right now, the Midnight Rider's taking up a slot. So you're right. That should be a whole separate animal. It would be great if they would do that. They're not going to. I don't know. I think that's pretty good Tito Santana without any photographic reference. That's just... my memory's cheeks will probably come out just a little bit more, but it'll get me through the next couple of weeks. You know, I enjoy some of those too, Lucas. There was one creator, and maybe I could find it here in a second, since I don't normally have you guys on while I'm doing these little behind-the-scenes things like this, who did some really tremendous work. And here's something else God almighty, I hope they get it right. There's one of the things I love about the past titles, and again, I hate to believe that I'm giving THQ credit for anything, but back in the day when THQ had this thing, I would spend hours just shopping around, window shopping. I wouldn't even download stuff. I would just look at other people's artwork, because that's really what it is. Let me bounce out real quick. And there was one guy, and I found him totally by accident, which is why I'm not sure if I can find him again, because I don't know what I was actually looking for. That actually got me to the point where I started thinking about, man, I wouldn't mind doing something similar to what you're talking about. Doing a federation that consisted of celebrity-type things that had nothing to do with wrestling, but they were so good and realistic looking, I thought it would be cool. But I just, again, don't have enough slots for it. I'm not going to make a whole separate account. Let's see if it's even working. Half the time the thing won't load up, and there's errors with the server, and gosh almighty, you would think 2K never made a game before. Case in point. Dude, let me tell you, I'm way ahead of you on that. It looks like, from what I've seen thus far, we should be able to get something pretty reasonable to War Games. We should be able to add the elimination factor in. We should be able to do an 8-man. Well, I know that's not true. So, yeah, it's very, very feasible that we could finally get a real War Games going. I couldn't even do one at all this year because you can't even do an elimination. I was going to do the Elimination Chamber, which in the past you could do teams of 3 against 3. And I thought that was close enough. You still had to wait a few moments to let people into the match. That was legit. And it's just, it is what it is, man. With the 2K just really hasn't. I feel like the people running this game are not wrestling fans. They're game builders and designers and maybe sports fans, but I don't think they have a real grasp of wrestling. Why the Cena enough? Because he sells. That's why. Like him or don't like him, he's money. And the WWE right now needs money. Have you seen the latest attendance for SmackDown? It's embarrassing. Their live gate is so bad. And now all of a sudden there's talk about a PG-14 or a TV-14, not a PG-14, but a TV-14 program that may be exclusive to the network, where now all of a sudden they get a little edgy again. I think they're really starting to feel the crunch of disenfranchising their base, because I know they want the kids' money, they want those toys and all that things, but you know what? If you go to a horror movie, whatever rated R horror movies out there today, and this thing's really being a pain in my ass. All right, well, we're going to have to skip that part. If you go to a rated R horror movie today, I guarantee you're going to see parents sitting there with their 12, 14-year-old kids. They bring kids that are way underage to some movies that they ought not be going to, but they do it. So for the WWE, and by the way, if anyone looks back on Raw is War episodes from 98, 99, 2000, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of kids there. And I recall they were selling action figures, and they sold well. So the idea that you have to be family friendly or you lose your identity and you lose your core base. No, you lost your core base when you left the adult market behind. And that's the people who spend money. Kids do not spend $9.99 a month. Kids do not spend money on action figures, on t-shirts, things like that. They get their parents to. But now all of a sudden the parents stop watching the programming. So I think they've made a huge mistake, and it's finally caught up to the point where they can't ignore it anymore. And when you're a publicly traded company, yeah, that's something that's got to happen. Starrcade coming back. I think it's a huge mistake because of two reasons. They're not covering it in any way, shape, or form. There's no television for it. So why bother? All you're doing is slapping a sticker on it. Hello, Dave. I couldn't agree with you more, Dave. The booking has been too hard to watch. I am so sick and tired of watching them bury Dolph Ziggler. Best damn talent they have had on that roster for the last 8 years. And they just, I don't know whose Cheerios he pissed in, but they won't give him the opportunity he rightfully has deservedly earned. The fans are behind this guy. I don't know. How do you do it? How do they take talent and turn it into nothing? It's an unbelievable gift that they've acquired. And for as much as I've heard people like Triple H and Vince talk shit about Jim Cornette when he comes out with his podcast about how he would book this and how he would book that, and they'll make these little snide remarks about, yeah, well, someone tell Jim it's not 1987 anymore. Guess what? It worked in 87, and it would be new today, and it would work again. Just like fashions come back, just like cars come back, things come back around. The only thing that's not coming back around is the WWE and their hierarchy. They're not coming back around to the fact that the fans are bored with today's product. It is unintelligible. Your best days are gone. You've got to do something to bring them back. Look at what happened when they brought Hulk Hogan back for that last run. when he did the WrestleMania deal with The Rock. That wasn't supposed to go anywhere. Next thing you know, he's the world champion again. Why? Because the fans wanted that element back. They need to get away from this soap opera bullshit that they do week in and week out. Because, by the way, the opening 30 seconds, you already know how the entire night's going to go. Because all they do is rinse and repeat over and over and over again. Yeah, well, we saw that they had a real successful relaunch of ECW last time, didn't they? Oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. Here's the thing. To relaunch ECW would be almost impossible. You've got Rhino and Tommy Dreamer. Who's left? They're not going to bring in Just Incredible. Maybe they will, but I doubt it. Who's left after that? Sandman? I don't think he's capable anymore, and I certainly don't think they'd want him. He's a loose cannon at best. Terry Funk couldn't even referee. I'm pretty sure Sabu's done. And you have to have, I would say, you can talk about Rob Van Dam coming back. So you got Rob Van Dam, which is a big one. If you were to put at least five legit ECW names in the opening roster for the first 6 months at least to launch and bring in some new talent and kind of hone it in. And I'll tell you, there's only one way. We all know the answer right now where I'm going with this. There's only one way this possibly works, and I don't see them doing it, and that is to give it to Heyman. He's the only one who can do it. They won't give it to him because not only will he do it well, he'll be more successful than Raw and SmackDown together, and they are not going to have that happen. Well, Dolph doesn't want to be released, Lucas. He's getting major money to lose. I mean, there was a quote that I won't never forget from Heath Slater a while back. I think the wrestlers were reading off hate quotes from Twitter. And Heath Slater was reading one of his off where the guy says, "Hey, man, you gonna ever win a match?" He's like, "Yeah, I lose a lot, but I'm rich, bro." They're getting paid to play a role. Dolph Ziggler knows he's the best. The fans know he's one of the best, if not the best. And, hey, you don't want to put the belts on me? That's okay, yeah. Go ahead and put it on Jinder Mahal. That's putting asses in the seats. Meantime, you want me to come out and act like a bunch of former wrestlers and have fun? Hey, just sign the check. Hey, Waffa Pen. Hey, what happened? Superstar, you got me on that one. Very good. Very good. All right, let me get a simulated match going here so I can get a look at Tito in action. The Job Squad was awesome, though. It was so perfectly done. And you're right, though. They just played their role out. Daggum, Tito looks pretty good there, doesn't he? I'm happy with that. I'm looking now forward to next month. I know I'm going to be able to make a good Tito with that face scan I've got. Yeah, let's go with the maroon. I kind of like the maroon look. That was a colors he was wearing when he won the Intercontinental title by defeating Morocco. The Boston Garden. The match that barely any video exists on.
Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me.
And I just realized something. I've got to... you know what? No, let's do it this way. There we go. You know what? I agree with most of your statement there, Dave. I don't think they had a problem with AJ. I don't think they thought he was going to get over the way he did. I don't think, look, it was clear they did not want to give it to Daniel Bryan. And again, the fans said, yeah, you're going to give it to him. And they had to listen. There's no way they could have pulled off a successful WrestleMania and not given him that belt. CM Punk is a little bit different. Now, Daniel Bryan was a company guy. He was a guy who showed up for work, didn't ruffle feathers, and he got the job done. They just didn't put the value in him, and then the fans made them listen. CM Punk has always been, and I love it, he's always been outspoken. He's always, called out the authority and challenged things. And as he has said many times, he always did it to make the product better. And they don't look, anyone knows anything. I'm not pretending to be backstage in the locker room, but too many people say things for it to not be true, and I'm talking about people that are backstage. Vince McMahon does not like people telling him what to do. He likes people agreeing with him. So when you got a guy like CM Punk saying, no, this is not the best direction, we could do this and this would be better, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like being second-guessed. So I get that he probably didn't want CM Punk. AJ Styles, I really just think they never planned on it. But then when AJ exploded the way he has and has maintained it, hey, you can't have everybody as unpopular as Jinder Mahal. Otherwise, you'll have nobody in the crowd. And the thought that they're only putting the belt on Jinder Mahal because they're signing a deal in India and they want a guy from India to have the belt. It's like, holy cow, talk about the Johnny Bravo effect. You fit the suit. This is Greg Brady all over again. He fits the suit, but he freaking sucks. He's boring. He's just, he was the Job Squad a couple of years ago. I still remember, I think JoJo was just, it must have been on Total Divas, probably like first or second season. And JoJo wasn't working out as a wrestler. And they were trying around at the announcer position. And she realized she actually had to memorize the wrestlers' hometowns and their weights and all this stuff. And she called him Jinder Mahal. And Heath Slater and Jinder confronted her backstage. And it's like, what's his name? What's his name? She's like, Jinder Mahal. You don't even know his name? And I'm like, nobody knows his name because he sucks and we just don't care. And we still don't care, and he still sucks, but you put the world championship on the guy who laid down every night for 3 years. That's like saying back in 1987, we're going to put the world title on S.D. Jones or Frank Williams. Thank you, Lucas. I gotta admit, I'm glad it turned out as well as it did. Still got a little bit of a shine on that side, but I can fix that up. That's one of the reasons why I'm kind of working with some of my face scans that I've been putting together in preparation for next season, and I'm trying them out on some of these so I can get an idea what changes to make on them, so hopefully everything goes quickly. Well, Cody Rhodes, I didn't see the top half of that question. I apologize. Cody Rhodes coming back, I think, would be a really good move for him. Obviously, financially, nobody can pay him what the WWE can. And I think he's been gone long enough where he can come in as Cody Rhodes. I didn't see enough of him in, I want to say global wrestling, but it's Impact Wrestling, but now it's global wrestling, soon to be bankrupt wrestling. How that friggin' thing is able to record a program at this point is beyond me. What money are they getting and from who? But I didn't get to watch enough of Cody in action to know how he was doing. I did see a clip of him. Was it ROH? Did he win the ROH World title or something like that? I saw him winning a title, but it wasn't global. At least I don't think it was. And look, he can wrestle. He's a decent wrestler. I mean, I don't think he's the best ever or anything like that, but I think he's okay. I always felt that his personality just really never got across well. I actually liked Stardust. Apparently he didn't. But then again, I really like the Ding Dongs too, and apparently nobody else does, so. I thought they were funny as hell. Lucas, I'm right there with you, buddy. When I was originally thinking about the beginning of the season, if you remember in 2K17 season, damn, count out. What's up with that? I got to admit, that's kind of the way things went back in the old Madison Square Garden days. Come on, Tito, get up and kick his ass. So I know we're able to book run-ins and things like that now. What I want to know is, can I book who runs in? And I haven't gotten an answer on that yet. Everything I've tried to find out, I can't get that definitive. Because, man, I hate it when you do this, a random match like this, and all of a sudden, you know, you got these two great wrestlers from the early 80s going at it, and all of a sudden John Cena runs in the ring. It's like, come on, man. Let's do a rematch, man. We can't settle on a count out. We need a winner. You know, if the title was on the line, Morocco wouldn't have let him stay outside the ring. He'd have thrown him back in. Yeah, but Lucas, I'm right there with you. It would have been Dolph Ziggler for me for the last probably 2 years. I might have had him lose it for maybe a month and then regain it. But Dolph Ziggler is such a friggin' talent. He's absolutely spot on with a microphone. His in-ring work is impeccable. He's got the right look. He's got a great body style. He's not too big, not too small. He's small enough to be, you know, a great face when he goes up against a bigger, powerful guy like a Braun Strowman. It's like tonight's match. Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman. When I get home, I'll probably fast forward the entire card just about to that one match just to watch that. But I honestly don't care. First off, I think we all know Brock Lesnar is going to win, right? The odds of Brock Lesnar losing this match tonight are about the same as me hitting the lottery. However, nobody really thought he was going to lose to Goldberg either, and he did that a couple of times. Meatball Heroes, there you go. That actually makes me hungry. Oh, Santana with that forearm. That wasn't the forearm, that was a forearm. I always loved his finisher, man. That flying forearm was so believable. I mean, you imagine some guy's running right at you, and you go flying in the air, and you he put that little bit of pop on it, too. It was just perfect. You look back at the very first match ever in WrestleMania history. It's him versus Playboy Buddy Rose under a mask. And every punch he threw looked like it was connecting, and it probably was. Back then, they took a couple of shots. It wasn't like today's prima donna wrestling. But even if they were potatoes, they weren't hard potatoes. I mean, Santana was a pro, and he knew how to hit you without hitting you. But it looked so good. Those punches were so clean. The drop kicks were great. There's the forearm. Let's see. Morocco is in trouble, but he's not going to stay down. All right, if you're talking about a legitimate meatball match, I do not know what you're talking about. I can't even imagine. I mean, back in the day, the WWE, or WWF, excuse me, ran a lot of standard matches. You didn't see too many gimmicks. I mean, they'd run a Texas death match and steel cages, stuff like that, but you didn't have things on a pole. That was always the NWA's. Oh, yeah, please, by all means, I want to see this. Holy cow, look at this. Morocco catches him in the air, turns it inside out for a Hawaiian hammer. It's over. And somehow Santana gets his shoulder off the mat. Any lesser man would be dead right now. You know, it's one of the other things I would like to see. Nice drop kick by Tito. One of the other things I'd like to see is the managers have their own settings. Their own skill settings. Because the creative managers, generally speaking, don't get involved as much as, let's say, Bobby Heenan does. Santana going to work on that leg, trying to soften it up for this. The figure 4 leg lock. He's got it on him. I like the way the referee is always generally looking in the same direction. So if these guys were in the middle of the ring right now, the referee would be talking to the bottom rope and asking it if it's trying to submit. I did see that recently, as a matter of fact. I was just going over some old videos and stuff like that, and yeah, I did see that with it all. He spits it out, which is kind of gross. Actually, I think the video was a bunch of clips of wrestlers and announcers losing it on air, where they started breaking character and started laughing. And the best of the bunch was Mean Gene Okerlund was interviewing challenger Wendy Richter, probably leading up to WrestleMania, if I had to guess. And in the process of the interview, he asked her a question, and her response was something to the effect of, I will be, how did she phrase it? I am not going to let anyone get on top of me and come, something like get on top of me and come over me, or something like that. And he just burst out laughing. She stayed perfectly in character, like, what I say? And I don't know if that was a live thing or if that was like an outtake that somebody got a hold of. But it was hilarious. Santana misses the forearm. Morocco from behind, belly to belly, folds him up. Oh, damn, Morocco's got some color. I missed that part, but he's a bloody mess. Powerbomb pin. Oh, and that's it. Good thing title wasn't on the line. There's that cross-body block, and he took Morocco down hard, but not good enough. Now, one of the big things about the new release of the game every year is I always decide up front what my very first match is going to be. I've already decided what the first match is going to be. I'm going to leave it as a surprise, but feel free to guess. If you guess it right, I'll let you know you guessed it right. Who knows, maybe I can even find a prize. I'll give you one hint. It's not a big hint, but it's a hint. I will be able to have the match immediately upon getting the game. I don't have to create anything. It'll be between two individuals that are on the roster. But it's a match that I'm very much looking forward to watching. It'll be simulated. I have to just watch it and call it and enjoy it. Let's do a little Extreme Rules on this one here. I'm going to be saying goodbye to some of these characters and wrong way. There we go. Lucas, you weren't as far off as you think you might be. That's not right, but it's not all wrong either. By the way, I've had the momentum set on fast almost the whole season. And fast normally means if you hit a finisher, it's over. Not so much. How many times have you seen guys kick it out of multiple finishers? All right, let's see. What are we going to do here? Well, first off, we're going to do that. Now let's go. I'm not going to miss that. Well, no, he's coming back. Never mind. There's my point. You're bringing Albert back, but you don't have Arn Anderson. Give me a break. Get rid of this guy. This is the worst character. What do you do with Albert in this game? Seriously. Gonna miss Austin, man. Didn't last very long, but I get it. He had to do what he had to do, and I don't fault him for it. No, you know what? Let's do this. If we're going to do a fantasy warfare match, why not go all out? By the way, this will be a sneak peek at the new Warfare Arena. I put it together for the last... there's going to be probably a couple of Warfare matches here. I still want to keep the Fantasy Warfare in, but it's going to be very... It's going to have to be kind of like Saturday night's main event. Once every 6 weeks, I'll throw a card together. I always like the idea of having the opportunity to put today's talent against yesterday's talent. I think you have a lot of opportunities there to make some really fun matches. It's amazing. These guys have tattoos that are almost identical. So you're looking at it right there. That's the new Warfare Arena. I do got to come up with another logo. I meant to do that and I forgot. Well, there he is, the Godfather, once again proving that pimpin' ain't easy. Yeah, they changed the stages up, obviously, but the arena themselves are pretty much the same. I'll tell you what I hate. LED. I hate LED. I hate LED on the pipes, on the ring post. I hate it on the freaking side of the ring. Be very curious to see how much longer they make us wait to find out about who the DLC is.
It's time once again for everybody to come on the
train.
Man, I know that I ain't the only one. Is there really pimps up in this house? You all y'all to know that the Godfather be pimping home. From the top of this building to the front row and everybody in between. Light it up for the Godfather today!
Pimpin' ain't easy! I always liked his character when he did this. Even Papa Shango was kind of, look, for the time, a lot of that crap was over the top. I think I like Papa Shango more now than I did back in the day. But as we found out, and as you can see just by looking at these two right here, and for any younger people who don't realize it, this is the same guy in two different characters. And he was able to play these two different roles so well. Man, WWE needs to bring a lot back, Lucas. You know, I was starting to say earlier about the whole soap opera setup that their shows have every single stinking week. And they don't get that that's old and it's done. What would work, and you know what, you want proof? Look at that UK Championship tournament. It was amazing. It was so good. Every match was good. Some were great. But what was even better, we didn't know a lot of these people over in the UK that were wrestling, you know, those of us in North America anyway. We didn't have a lot of exposure to them, so a lot of them, it was the first exposure we ever had. And for that matter, it was the first exposure they ever had to a North American audience. And they treated it like a sport. They did little vignettes where they got to tell you about themselves. And, you know, I got into wrestling when I was 16, and I got with this trainer, and he promoted me, and he got me to this point, and then I've been wrestling here and there, and it's been my dream. And they go through this whole thing where you get to know the guy a little bit in 2 minutes. Very much like the UFC does with their stuff. And pro boxing is done forever. Those short little vignettes about the person, not the words back and forth and the height. And you just get to know them. If they would go to something like that on the main show. You know, there was this one episode back when they were trying to push Roman to the world title, which that certainly didn't work. And I forget who he was going up against. It might have been Brock. I'm not even sure. And it was Brock. There was one night where Raw was going to be in a city that ended up getting hit with a hurricane, so they couldn't go to the city and have the Raw. So instead, it was like 2 hours of hype for this match that was happening like a week or two away. And they just had Roman Reigns sitting in front of a curtain on a director's chair along with, I think, Michael Cole. And they did a 30-minute interview with him. And everyone agreed that was the best thing that Roman Reigns had done for his character and getting over in general. It made him human, it made him likable, and let you get to see a little bit inside of him. And you'd think they would have learned from that, but they didn't. That is what they need to get to. They need to just do these little 2-minute vignettes, get into the back lives of these guys. Let them talk about themselves a little. Let them get themselves over. You don't need the whole come out, start running the guy down. All of a sudden, the other guy's music plays because every time you're going to go kick somebody's ass, your theme song plays first. The DJ can play the music, but no security guy can hold him back so he doesn't attack a guy in the ring. No, Papa Shango wasn't really my type back in the day either, but I kind of like him a little bit more now. And I'll say one thing, the WrestleMania arena for this year really looks spectacular from the clips that I've seen so far of the game. It looks like they did it. First off, I was there and I was sitting right next to the entrance. And that roller coaster was pretty damn cool, I got to tell you. And it does look like they really did an awesome job of just nailing that stage to perfection. You know, we're talking about how things used to be and the fact that, they run Jim Cornette down for having these ideas that they feel are outdated. Well, I'll tell you what's not outdated. What's not outdated is you've lost the concept that it could possibly be real. We know it's not real. We knew it wasn't real back in the 80s, but because they sold it so well and because they really did work kayfabe, there was always this little question in your mind. It's like, oh, it's not real. Is it? Some of it was more fake than others. Let's put it that way. There were certain guys that made you think, okay, well, that one looked like at least some of it was legit. But when you look back on 80s wrestling in the WWF, when you look back on 80s and even early 90s wrestling in the NWA, most of the times there wasn't much interaction between the two guys. If you were going to see the interaction, it was going to be at Madison Square Garden. It was going to be at the Omni. It was going to be in Greensboro. It wasn't going to be on Saturday morning television. That's why you had jobbers, or enhancement talent, as they are now referred to. Matter of fact, you could be an enhancement talent and they put the world title on you. Hello, Ginger. Snowstorm. Okay, there you go. I knew it was some weather event that stopped them from broadcasting live. Senor Frog, that's a pretty interesting match right there. I might have that come up next. I like that a lot. That is a good pairing. Good job of booking, my friend. What I remember about the great time in wrestling, and it's gone, but what I remember about it is when you watch Saturday NWA wrestling, the guys would show up at the podium. You'd have the Horsemen there with James J. Dillon and Tony Schiavone and David Crockett, and they would talk about, hey, this next Saturday night at the Greensboro, you're going up against Dusty Rhodes, and then it would just be this whole Dusty Rhodes thinks he's going to come out here and he's going to come out. Well, and it would just go from there, and it was all the talk and the hype, and then maybe they'd go face to face. And maybe they'd even just throw a couple of quick punches, but generally speaking, it was just a lot of friction and a lot of almost, but it never really happened. And when you want to see it happen, you go to the arena, and that's where it happens. Papa Shango with the win. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I have never, I'll take it back. I won't say I've never been. I have very rarely been. The only time I was ever a JBL fan, and I don't know that I really was when he was with the APA. I was an APA fan, not a JBL fan. I was a Ron Simmons fan. But I thought that he and Simmons together, and especially when they turned the comedic aspect on, I thought it was fun TV. I enjoyed them very much. That is the only time that I ever could tolerate JBL. When he had that ridiculous run as the SmackDown World Champion, my favorite moment was One Night Stand where Paul Heyman said, the only reason you're the champion is Triple H doesn't want to work Tuesdays. I thought that was perfect. And it's the truth. It's like, he sucks. The guy is just boring as paint. He is vanilla ice cream. He is so bland. All right, if we're going to do this, let's see. Yeah, that's what we got to be looking at. Thank you, Jonah. You're cool, too. All right, let's see. We are looking at Bray Wyatt. And Papa Shango. And what arena do I want to throw these two into? There, how's that for? Jonah, what's up, man? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Shout out to Jonah Hogan. Oh, that's a cool effect right there. I like that a lot. Especially for these two. Yeah, like I said, I remember they had to show a lot of video clips to eat up the time slot. But that sit-down interview with Roman Reigns really just reminded me of how they used to do it and how they could be doing it. There's a lot of things. I mean, look, everyone's an armchair quarterback, I guess. And the thing is this. If you're Vince McMahon, he's not an idiot. It's not working. And what's failing right now? The worst. SmackDown. Look at the numbers. Their live gate is in the toilet. So, yeah, I get it's your creation. I get it's been around since The Rock. But it's not relevant anymore. You own the rights to the WCW. What would be better? You wanted to have this head-to-head competition kind of thing for ratings. No one's buying it because it's SmackDown versus Raw, and it's the same. And it's still the same if it's WCW, but at least you make it feel different, and hopefully you book it different. So yes, I would get rid of SmackDown, and Tuesday would become Nitro. and I would bring back all of the WCW set. I would bring back the Nitro Ring. I'd bring back the Nitro Girls. I would go dig up Tony Schiavone, who I think would take the paycheck. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he would. Last I heard, he was a barista in that coffee shop that I don't go to because they're too damn expensive. You're welcome, sir. 2K18 will be out on the 14th of October, starting at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be running a very long live stream right here on this channel. It's not going to feature a ton of the wrestling early on because I got a lot of creating to do. I got a roster to put together. I've got rings and arenas to build. So if you want to see some of these extra features, I'll be doing a lot of that. So feel free to bounce in. I'll have the chat line open like it is right now so we can do some live Q&A if you want to know something about the game and my thoughts of it early on. I can tell you this. I normally do a review of this game every year within the first week of release. I will not be reviewing it until at least a month in because, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but if you look back at the review for 2K17 that I did, I remember, and it makes me cringe, saying this is the game we've been waiting for. Because my first impressions, it seemed that good. And now we know I was wrong, and I will admit it, and have admitted it week in and week out. So I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm going to make sure I play it a good 4 weeks and see how it goes. This really is an interesting match right here between these two characters. Oh, swing and a miss. What I can tell you, though, is at 12 o'clock noon, as soon as I load in, we're going to go into the first match of the year. We had somebody already guess what the match is going to be, and he came pretty close. In past years, let's see, I remember we did a couple years ago, I recreated the first SummerSlam main event with Hogan and Randy Savage against Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant. By the way, that's something else I have yet to hear about, and I'm already a little surprised. I thought for sure it would have happened. I have not heard if they're going to bring back special guest referees. And what an epic failure if they don't. My day's going pretty well. It's almost over, to be honest with you. I work overnight, so I've been up all night long, and I'm getting ready to go to bed here in just a little bit. Bray Wyatt standing over the fallen Papa Shango as the referee continues the count. Man, Papa Shango getting manhandled by Bray Wyatt in this one. I did like the UFC. My problem with UFC games is twofold. The button combination, I hate, and I like most of it. I hate their submission system. Because any submission system in this game had the same problem this season, and I'm sure it'll be the same next season. When you have these little, I would much rather, here's my thing. If you're going to have any submission system in a game, whether it's WWE, UFC, it should be a button mashing system, period. Now, I know a lot of people don't like that, but let me explain why. When you have to, watch the red circle and the yellow circle and line them up and all that stuff, what you're not watching is the game. You're missing the struggle going on to try and escape the hold, the facial expressions of the pain and all that stuff, because you're so busy playing the mini game. Just use stats. So, for example, in UFC, Ronda Rousey, if she gets you in that armbar, the fight's over. The fight's over. So her stats should be at like 99 out of 100, that if she gets a submission lock on you, you're probably going to tap out. And then if you're some superhuman person that can withstand this ridiculous amount of pain, maybe you've got a 78 or an 85% pain threshold where you can withstand that offense. So if you're playing Ronda, you just hit the crap out of that X button, and then you can watch the game and see if you're successful without having to watch the mini game that doesn't let you watch the game. Lucas, well, let me say one more thing real quick about the UFC games, and then I'll get to your question. The best thing about the UFC games, hands down, is the production and the presentation. You feel like you're watching a UFC pay-per-view. They are so on point. And here's the thing that makes me just lose my lunch every year at this time. How is it that the UFC, who's only been making games for about 3 years now, can have a game that is spot on live pay-per-view quality, where the announcing sounds like they are actually calling the match I'm watching, and it sounds legit? And then you go to the WWE, who's been doing this for decades, and you can tell these guys are reading a friggin' script, and it's terrible. So UFC does a great... The only knock I have on UFC is their submission system, and that's it. My favorite games outside of the WWE. I don't do any other sports games anymore. I've given up on all NFLs, NHLs, NBAs, all that stuff is gone. I've gotten into a lot of other kinds of games, and I have a lot of different interests in that. Last of Us is probably my all-time favorite game of all time, period. I love Naughty Dog. I think that's the best developing company on the face of the earth. Everything they put out is gold. They know how to do it right. They will not release a game if it's not ready. So they have delayed and pushed back launch dates that have been announced because they knew the product wasn't up to par. And that I would much rather wait an extra 30 days because I know they're going to give me the right product. You look at the Uncharted series, you look at the last Uncharted, Uncharted 4, it was freaking amazing. So to answer your question, all things Naughty Dog, that's my other favorite games. Fairs Gamer, hello sir, how are you? Ooh, Papa Shango with the upset victory over the former world champion. By the way, now that just came to my head, Bray Wyatt, they gave him the world title and the fans loved it. And then you took it right away. Friggin' WWE, they're like a squirrel trying to cross the road during a traffic rush. They can't get out of their own friggin' way. If you just run with it, you'd be okay, but they stop and they second guess themselves and they go back and forth and they run under the friggin' tire every time. Jonah, if you want to know who my favorite superstar is in today's WWE, that would be Bayley. I love Bayley. Everything about her. She's a sweet girl. She is truly a fan living her dream. That's not a character. That's her. And leave it to the WWE to screw that up. Yeah, I see all these different things. I've seen the Wrestle Talk with Ali and all that stuff about how the fans are booing Bayley. They're not booing Bayley. It's like, get a clue. They are booing the WWE writing team for jobbing her out and for making her... they spend all the time and money all the time and money in NXT to develop a character. So here comes Bayley, starts out as, a loser. I mean, she lost a lot of matches in the beginning. Slowly but surely gets better. All believable. That's what happens with athletes. They do get better over time. Hopefully, otherwise they don't last very long. Give me 1 second here while, what am I thinking of? Oh, yeah. So over time, they invest money, they build a character, and in NXT she was as hot as anyone on the roster. The fans would sing her music, they'd chant throughout her matches. She was over. They bring her into the WWE, she did well. Then they started booking her in this I can't win a match thing. It's like, God, they have no freaking clue anymore. They're so out of touch. And I can't figure out for the life of me. Triple H takes NXT, and for a while there, it was the new ECW. It had a cult following. Everyone had this amazing entrance, and everyone had fans just eating it up. It isn't like that anymore. It's just not the same anymore. This young lady right here, Alexa Bliss, another one, started out as a little blue cheerleader, and then they decided they're going to make her a heel, and I'm like, this is never going to work, man. You got this gorgeous little girl next door. There is no way you're going to turn her bad, and to her credit, it didn't even take time. Sometimes it's like with Natty, they turned her heel, and it really didn't work very well. Now it's starting. After a while, you've gone so long with it that you kind of forget she was a good guy. And now you kind of accept her as a heel. Alexa Bliss, like, overnight you bought it. She does the bad girl thing. Her facials are amazing. The best in the business. Nobody does the face like she does. You know what? John Cena was never a favorite of mine. I've learned to respect him, and I wish him well. I don't root against him, and if I do, it's more tongue-in-cheek joking kind of thing, because it's a popular thing to do. But unlike a lot of other people I could mention, Rock, he's not forgotten what got him to the dance. So he's towards the end of his career now, and unlike certain people, Bret Hart, he's going to do the job when he needs to do the job. He's going to promote the other guys, knowing he's on his way out, and there's got to be somebody else to carry the company. So he lays down for AJ Styles. That's what a guy does who really, truly respects the business and doesn't, Hulk Hogan, put himself at age 43 in this position of, well, brother, I can't lose the match, man. I got creative control, dude. Again, when it comes to today's product, all I can watch are the women. You look at Sasha and Bayley, amazing matches that they've had. That takeover match in Brooklyn, best match I have seen in 2 years. I haven't seen a better one since that. No, sir, I don't get any sport. The only sporting game I get is this. If it's technically a sporting game, I don't know, but I don't get any of the sporting games anymore. I've given up on all of them. I don't watch them on TV. I absolutely am disgusted with professional athletes. I just absolutely can't stand them. And it isn't just because of the Colin Kaepernicks right now who've made it a whole new level of disgust. I was over them. It started back when they canceled the World Series to go on strike. And then it just kept going from there. When we had 2007, when our economy absolutely collapsed. The housing market, the bubble burst, it all happened at once. People were losing their jobs, people were losing their houses, and you got guys like LeBron James saying, well, I need a 1-hour TV special on ESPN to tell people if I'm going to stay in Cleveland or take my talent somewhere else. And I just realized you guys have no clue what real people's lives are like. People that can't afford to pay the mortgage are finding a way to go watch an NBA game so that their kids can have some sense of normalcy. And you need to go on strike because $10 million to put a ball in a basket isn't enough money. So I will not support professional sports at all, and I don't. I don't watch them. I grew up playing hockey for 20 years. Not professionally, but I still played it, and I watched it all the time. Loved the game. I still love the game, but I'm over it. Because every one of them, every professional sport that I ever watched, I was never a NASCAR fan, nothing against it, it's just not my thing. Every single sport now has gone on strike and said F you to the fans, and the fans deserve it, because the minute these millionaire morons decide, okay, we've got enough money in our holdout, the owners are finally paying us, we'll come back now and throw a ball down the field like a bunch of sheep being led to slaughter. These idiot fans return and fill the seats. Screw you. You deserve it. That's how I feel about it. Baseball goes on strike, what happens? They have to pay more money so the guys come back and play. Now, you can't go to Yankee Stadium and watch a game unless you're willing to drop $150 a seat. And that's not even good seats. The game's supposed to be about the fans, and it's not anymore. It's about the money. Well, I figure if you have that much money, you don't need mine. Football, you wait and see. It's going to sound a little crazy. I'll tell you something right now. Football is going to be in serious trouble within the next 2 years, but probably even less time. I predict this is going to be the lowest rated Super Bowl in history. Their numbers are already going down substantially. The fans have had enough. This kneeling for the national anthem, screw you, we don't need you. There are other things in our lives. You're there for entertainment. Okay, monkeys, you're there to do a job to entertain us. Here's your money. Go play your game. It's the same thing with all these Hollywood liberals that get out there. When guys like Bruce Springsteen come out and tell me who to vote for, it's like, listen, monkey, here's my quarter. I'm dropping it in. Play my song. Shut up and sing. Bailey with the win. I currently am in south part of the United States. I originally was up north. Big win for Bailey. Oh, yeah, you and I aren't that far apart. Actually, I was in Alabama a few years ago for a basketball tournament. You guys get about as much crappy weather as we do. All right, guys, listen, I have enjoyed this broadcast immensely. It's been great interacting with you guys, having the opportunity, because when I do my normal streams, I'm in character and I'm going through the live play-by-play, so I really can't do this, and this has been fun, and I've enjoyed it so much. Makes me look forward to October 14th all that much more, because it's going to be a long stream of this kind of stuff going back and forth. We still have plenty more to come between now and then. We're going to bring you more AWA. We're going to bring you more NWA. We're going to bring you more of the LWF, Legends Wrestling Federation. We've got two Clash of the Champion cards, one for WCW, one for NWA. And my plan, if I can get it in time, the last event will be WCW Halloween Havoc. That should be the last 2K17 event. If I can get them all in on time. That's my challenge right now. That's why I've been picking up my schedule a little bit more in the last few weeks. Monday and Tuesday, there will be more wrestling during the overnight hours. Usually starts somewhere between midnight and 1 a.m. So if you're up, you can join us for the live stream. And if not, you can always catch it later. Guys, again, thank you all for participating in this 2-hour stream that we're just wrapping up now. Appreciate you so much. Your continued support. Keep bringing people in. I am excited. We're getting close to reaching a 500 member count here on the channel of subscribers. I know there are plenty of channels out there with a lot more than that, but for what I'm doing and the target audience that I am going after, and the fact that I don't go out and try to bring people in. I've always said that when people jump on other people's community pages and promote themselves and things like that, just put content out and then people will come to you. And word of mouth is the best form of advertising. So, again, guys, if you like this stuff, and I know you do because you're here, spread the word, bring some people in. That's the way I want to build this channel up even more. So I appreciate everything and all the support you guys have given over time. We've got more coming up for 2K18. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are too. See you soon. Definitely see you on October 14th. Until then, so long, everybody.